Hello everyone, and welcome to Katawa Shoujo. I'm trying a slightly different recording method today, so maybe the background sound of the whirring of my computer won't be as loud today. It probably will be still audible, but here's to hoping that it goes better. So, oh yes, as we just got some cuddly cuddlefishes. After being woken by a sound, I opened my eyes with a measure of reluctance. Turning my head to the left, I find the rain outside sweeps against the windows loudly. Spray after spray after windblown spray splashes against the glass, as if it was trying its hardest to make up for the summer's previous heat. No, I read that correctly the first time. I just got surprised by the word spray twice. I sit up in the futon, holding the back of my neck and trying to subdue the pain from my awkward sleeping position. By all accounts, I should be lamenting the turn in the weather, given that this is our last day here. Yeah, you're gonna be walking home in the rain. Well, at least walking to the bus stop in the rain. The events of yesterday refused to stop flooding through my mind, though. The feeling of holding Lily's crying body in my arms, the rush of lust and hormones that flowed through us as we spent the night together. It seems almost futile to try and rationalize everything that happened. And that, kids, is how you summarize all of puberty in a single paragraph. In an attempt to distract myself, I groan and lean over to retrieve my bag without standing, pulling out one bottle after another. I take the daily regimen's worth of pills. Yeah, you better be taking those pills, boy, otherwise I'm gonna find you. Worth of pills from their containers and swallow them without further ado. It took a surprisingly short amount of time to get used to swallowing pills without water. That said, I suppose the same thing goes for getting used to living in a school for disabled students. Remembering Yamaku, I become all the more grateful for having the chance to get away, even if it's just for the shortest of times. I appreciate the chance to spend time alone with Lily and Hanako, away from the bustle of school life, even considering the latest complications. Don't say it like it's a bad thing. You liked it. I never thought I'd say it, but the idea of living away from the city in a nice, tranquil area is an inviting one. It's a thought that barely a year ago would have seemed simply ludicrous. Yeah, well, Ludacris has put out some good albums. A flash of pink, no doubt Hanako's gown, peeks from around the corner. Realizing I must look a sight since I've only just woken up, I slap the remaining pills into my mouth and run a hand through my hair. Good morning, Kisao. I reply to her completely forgetting that I'm in the middle of swallowing a particularly large pill. Coughing and sputtering, I violently gag on it. Hisao! After sputtering loudly and tapping my chest a couple of times to force it down, I managed to recover. I'm fine. Sorry, I forgot I was swallowing. Speaking of swallowing, have you seen Lily? Sorry, I didn't mean to... I hold up my hand, gesturing for Hanako to stop. I gagged. It happens to all girls. I mean, it's my fault. Morning, Hisao. She pauses. I'm being very bad this episode. I'm gonna have to go into the naughty boy prison. She pauses a moment. She pauses a moment, bowing in reply. Oh, there's Lily. Staggering in behind. Hanako is the familiar figure of Lily. a figure that I've been able to get a lot more familiar with. Also dressed in her pajamas. Also, looking good in those pajamas. Those are some nice PJs. PJs with BJs. With her eyes full of sleep and her and hair bedraggled. That's a new word. She's a sight to behold. Hi, Lily. Good morning, Kisao. For a while, silence hangs in the air as neither of us knows what to do. Given what... Have you ever, suddenly, realize what's happening with your hands and then you're not sure what to do with them? That's kind of what relationships are like. At least the awkward teenage ones. Given what happened last night, we both have more than enough reason to be finding the situation awkward. Just how are we meant to react to meeting each other after a situation like that? Don't say it like that. The best course of action would probably be to talk to Lily, alone, to set things in order. I'll start making breakfast. I love making breakfast. That being said, I need to find out how to make my grandmother's French toast. That shit is amazing. Lily evidently catches on to my train of thought. I'll help you. I'll help. Hanako, could you set the table? She nods her head, disappearing into a cupboard as she quickly goes about her assigned task. I rub a little more sleep out of my eyes, and as I wander over to the fridge and take out some milk, and Lily grabs various bright-colored boxes from some of the lower cupboards to my side. While we make the rather bland-looking meal, I whisper somewhat more quietly than usual, knowing Lily's hearing. She won't have any trouble catching what I say. Are you okay, Lily? After last night? I don't know if that actually sounded terrible on the microphone. Please let me know. She gives a delicate nod, her expression weak. Though her tiredness surely plays a part, she seems genuinely unsure about what happened between us and how to move ahead. I can't say I blame her, considering my feelings are the same. I'm sorry, Hisao. I wasn't thinking straight yesterday. I never stopped to consider you or Hanako, and I even went as far as... She's winding herself up, oh god. With her hands and voice both tightening, I give her a gentle bump to try and lighten up the situation. You don't have to apologize. I said I liked you as well, after all. But As her composure begins to falter, it becomes obvious that there's no alternative. Turning to Lily, I embrace her tall frame. She offers no resistance at all, thankfully pulling back just from the edge of her emotions. Despite our reassuring embrace, lasting only a matter of seconds, I notice Hanako wordlessly watching. Let's hope that's the only time she was wordlessly watching. The plate in her hand hovers inches above the table, her action halted midway by the sight. Uh-oh, Hanako's gonna come for us. And not in the fun way, you weirdos. The clatter of utensils against plates is the only sound to be heard as we silently eat. Whereas before only two of us may have been unsure of ourselves, the entire situation has changed. Now everyone's unsure of themselves. Welcome to being a teenager. After weeks of blissful friendship, whiling away the days with shared meals and chatter with little meaning, the relationship Lily and I, no, that of all of us, has irreversibly changed. I can't take this. Lily? She solemnly nods, gently laying her spoon onto the table in front of her, neither of us knowing exactly how we regard each other. Alone, how Hanako would view us. This might seem abrupt, but I've confessed to Hisao. For a moment, Hanako looks almost confused, precisely the reaction I thought she would have. She eventually nods, her spoon still in her mouth as she does. did you accept? I did. I accepted all over the futon. She gives a smile so large and so earnest, I find myself blushing. I think it's the brightest I've ever seen her expression look. Then I'm happy. I'm really, really happy. I'm sorry for not telling you anything about it before. Things have been... Hanako shakes her head from side to side emphatically. Apparently forgetting in her rush that Lily couldn't possibly notice. She begins fiddling her fingers, looking a little more nervous than she did before. To be honest, I began to think you might like each other a while ago. At first, I didn't really know what to think about it, but I decided in the end that if my friends are happy, then I'm happy. Aw, that's sweet of you, Hanako. I was really glad to have another friend when we met Hisao. So you finding love through him is even better, right? A feeling of relief at her acceptance of our relationship falls over me like a wave. The same happens to Lily, judging by her expression. Thank you, Hanako. I really appreciate you being so understanding. Hanako's voice Lily's voice still sounds slightly apologetic, or at least unsure. This doesn't escape Hanako, who appears lost in thought for a few moments before turning to me. Hisao, do you mind if, me and Lily go outside for a bit? Ah, no, feel free. Hanako? They're gonna talk about my magnum dong. Hanako gets up from her seat, taking Lily's hand, and almost dragging her from the table in her excitement. Considering Lily's typically slow and steady pace, Hanako's haste makes her footing awkward, and she almost loses her balance a couple of times. It's a pretty amusing sight, leaving me wordless as I watch them disappear out the door. It's only now that I realize the rain stopped. I hope you wore a little raincoat for your young man. That's right, kids. Wrap it before you tap it, especially if you're a teenager. Especially if you're not married. What do you mean people have sex before they're married? I'm gonna take a drink of water. Ah, delicious. Being replaced by a sky seemingly all the more vivid and bright to make up for the morning's drab gray expanse. For Hanako, this must be a pretty big revelation. Lily and I are really the only people she associates with, almost as if we were parents in her own stead. See, just like I was telling you guys. I suppose that might well be the best way to describe a relationship. A daddy, a mama, and a daughter. All playing around in our little make-believe family, as if it could last forever. It might be a strange dynamic and one that can't last for long, but maybe, just for this one small moment, it's okay. As I stand from the table and go to join Lily and Hanako in the fields outside, I nod to myself in affirmation. This one small moment of happiness, no matter how brief, will last with me, with all of us, forever. Submerged deep in the hot water, I let a drawn-out sigh escape my lips. The feeling of seemingly every muscle in my body relaxing is euphoric. I have no idea how long it's been since I had a genuine hot bath, but right now I can hardly be bothered to trying to remember. Maybe I'm giving the simple fact that for once I get to have a real bath more credit than it's due. The chance to just calm down, allow myself to unwind, and have some time to myself is a welcome one. I can remember the last time I had tried to have a bath. I'm too big for baths. Hanako, Lily, and I wandered outside, exploring the extent of the surprisingly large tract of land surrounding the house. Then we spent the majority of the afternoon resting, watching TV, reading, and playing cards. It may not have been the most exciting finale to the trip, but such tranquil peacefulness is something to savor. Even after we return to the school tomorrow, I think I'll remember this little house in Hokkaido for a long time. It's a pity we only have a couple more hours to spend before going to the train back. Before going to get the train back. All I can do is yawn contentedly while I watch the steam slowly rising from the clear water's placid surface, my eyes eventually locking onto the ceiling. Our exams are imminent. I've barely studied at all for them. On top of that, I don't even know what I'll do after graduation. Passing exams is all well and good, but to what end? Well, I thought you were Japanese. I thought that was the whole point of school, is to pass exams. Also, now of all times, I'm getting into a relationship. What the hell am I doing? I guess I shouldn't think like that. What's done is done, and maybe this could be viewed as just another aspect of my new life that I'm working on. Yeah, you really need to work on your, social life. I mean, and eventually your romantic life. Not that there's anything wrong with being career goal oriented or, education focused, but getting married's not a bad thing. Getting with a girl's not a bad thing. Finding someone that you really love isn't like, what am I doing? It's, it's another part of your life you need to work on. I enjoy being with Lily, and there's no more to life than school and a career after all. As I busily attempt to rationalize all that's happened, I hear a series of raps on the door. Who's that rapping on the chamber door? I pick up myself and sit upright, trying to figure out the source. Better not be Mr. Raven. All up in my face like Nevermore. 3 no more and no less. Light yet assertive in their tapping, and timed regularly enough to tune a metronome. I'd be extremely surprised if it wasn't Lily. May I come in? Yeah, it's Lily. I'm still in the bath. I'll be out in 1 sec. I know. Dang, Lily. You aggressive. The voice coming from the other side of the door freezes me. After a second's thought, I rest on the side of the bath and let my arms dangle over the side. Despite trying my best to play it off, I can't help but letting my mind wander. Sure, come in. With that, she opens the door, slowly walking into the room and closing it behind her. She looks oddly calm, countering my racing heart. Hey, Lily. Do you mind if I take a bath with you? No, I don't mind. Go ahead. With a small nod, she begins to lift her sweater off her shoulders, baring her chest little by little. I could do that for you if you'd like. Refused. Why? Her face shows she's still not overly comfortable with letting me attend to her. I can't say I blame her. She continues undressing, her shirt and skirt falling to the floor, leaving her in white lace bra and panties. Eventually, she stands bare in the center of the room. What a nice set of melons. Damn. Beautiful. After a chaotic dash to the station and finding our seats in the otherwise deserted carriage, we promptly crashed. Not the train, us. Looking at the time, close to midnight, it's little surprise that few take this particular train. Hanako is fast asleep on Lily's shoulder, and I can barely muster the energy to stay awake. The excitement we had a while ago probably didn't help. I'd probably be pretty depressed about going back to school if my brain was actually working. I'll be honest, I didn't expect melons. But it's fitting. As it is though, the sight of the nighttime scenery scrolling by is surprisingly beautiful. My loud yawn is nearly wholly drowned out by the clacking of train tracks and the old carriages rattling. So tired. And whose fault is that, Hisao? Aw, she's smiling at me. She really does toe the line between insulting and amusing sometimes. Train bullies. Though I think I managed to wring out a weary smile. I look back out the window, my reflection just visible on the clear pane. Truth be told, she's perfectly correct. If it weren't for that little interlude a few hours ago, both of us would have a lot more energy. On top of that, we both had to take a bath, very nearly making us late for the train's departure. Yeah, it was mine. Still, getting into a bath with a guy is a dangerous thing to do. Evidently. Sorry, I guess I kind of took advantage of the situation back there. Well, I didn't exactly hate it. Now she's blushing. As she trails off, I look back to her. My eyes narrow as I see her slightly reddened cheeks and small grin, her mind obviously elsewhere. Say it. I knew the possibility of it happening was there. I knew it. You're just as dirty-minded as I am. She quickly coughs into her free hand, making her disapproval crystal clear. That's a rather crude way of putting it. Oh, and you would suggest? I merely have a healthy adolescent sex drive. Is that a new face? So in other words, dirty-minded? Almost seeming to sense the moment, Hanako mumbles quietly as she furrows her brow in Lily's lap. But her head's on her shoulder. I'm just kidding. Lily's look of disapproval melts away as she gently smiles and strokes her hand on Hanako's long dark hair. All I can do is watch and smile. If someone were to ask me when I fell in love with her, I wouldn't be able to answer. The best I'd be able to come up with is, it just happened at some point, but I didn't realize it. If someone were to ask me why I love her, though, then I could answer so much more easily. You really love Hanako, don't you? She gives me a deep nod, smiling warmly. It's a pity we have to return to school. She seemed so relaxed while we were all away. I want to talk about Hanako. I know it doesn't matter, so I'm not even going to look it up. I wouldn't worry. Hanako's been gaining confidence thanks to you, at least for as long as I've known you two. She gives a self-deprecating sigh. I think I merely provided her with company and support. Since she came to know you, she's opened up much more, even to me. I get the feeling she's understating her influence on Hanako, especially given that before the two came to know each other, Hanako had no friends to speak of. The friends I'd had in my previous school school fulfilled what I'd expected of them for the most part, simply being there for idle chatter. But in Hanako and Lily, there seems to be more to their relationship. Part of me envies it. But another can't ignore the fact that the school year will eventually end. After graduation, I really have no idea what Hanako will do. This trip has shown me just how much we've all come to depend on one another. Indeed, we're all going to have to make decisions. Maybe that's the reason why, despite our return to school, also heralding the return to normalcy of everyday life, I can't help but feeling a little restless. On the bright side, it won't take long for summer holidays to arrive after our exams are finished. We could come back here during the summer holidays if you want. For a moment, she thinks on the notion, her face becoming somewhat distant. I can only guess she's reflecting on all that's happened here. That would be good, I think. I nod approvingly, smiling at her. Summer together with Lily? This idea sounds like the perfect way to spend our holiday. Also Hanako. Hanako can sleep on the couch this time since we'll be sharing a bed. Act 4. Future. I'm kinda sad we only got that one animated section. After the excitement of our trip to Hokkaido, it seems strange to be right back to the usual daily routine so soon. Indeed, it feels like a normal day, the same as any other. Well, that's what I'd like to think anyway. To tell the truth, the atmosphere of the class has... No, the entire school has changed. While an undercurrent of subdued trepidation had previously pervaded the class, now that the exams are in sight, it's boiled over into a frantic studying rarely seen otherwise. One day until exam starts. It's horrific. Really, that instead of studying, we went and wasted our time up north. We were such model students, too. Glancing around the class, even the bubbly, ever-energetic Misha seems oddly deflated. Maybe she should talk to Tom Brady. She sits at her desk, nervously chewing a pen, while Muto lectures in front of the class. Wait, on closer inspection, I do believe she's eating it. Turning my eyes from this sorry spectacle, I turn my attention elsewhere. Oh hey, it's Hanako. Hanako sits frantically scribbling in her notebook, her face mere inches away from the page, seemingly trying to record every word that leaves Muto's mouth. She's an A as well? She's an A. Cool as a cucumber. She sits diligently taking notes with her attention wholly focused on the front of the class. Truth be told, it's what I should be doing as well. If not for the fact that I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what's being covered already. I wonder how Lily's doing. While she does have a good head on her, she has plenty on her plate, unlike me. Her class representative duties, taking care of Hanako, her other social contacts, her extra English studies. That girl really does take on a lot. The lunchtime bell rings with a sigh of relief from the entire class. Muto being no exception. I get the feeling he much prefers the more laid-back atmosphere of his normal classes to the frantic pace of exam preparation we're subjected to right now. He-chan, help me. I lower my eyelids to half-mast, making clear my intention of doing quite the opposite. Help me, help me, help me. Not going well? Shi-chan's gonna be fine, but I think I might die. Am I going to die, He-chan? Well, will you let me die from all this work? Misha, you're catastrophizing. How modern. Given that she's neither the brightest student in the class nor the most diligent, it isn't a great surprise that she's finding it hard to cope with the workload. Sorry, Misha, but I've got my own work to do. I thought you and Shizune would be studying together over the long weekend anyway. Studying's too boring to waste a holiday on, He-chan. Shopping together was much more fun, wasn't it, Shi-chan? It's only now that I realize Shizune's been looking over to us, and that Misha's arms have been moving likely all this time. I must be really zoned out to not have noticed. What is it with girls and shopping anyway? Even Lily and Hanako have dragged me out with them a couple of times. But you win anyway. It's so rare to see a guy that likes going shopping. Well, my role would probably be best described as pack mule. I can't say I share your enthusiasm about the experience. I just make snarky quips when I go shopping with my lady friends. And either they don't invite me back or they like my snarky quips. It's usually the second one, otherwise they wouldn't spend time with me. Back to the exams. You studied after you got back from the days off, didn't you, Shizune? Of course, He-chan. It's only sensible to study in the days before. Erg. Misha makes a sound vaguely similar to a dying cow as she realizes her folly and unceremoniously flops onto her desk, betrayed even by her own best friend. Judging from Shizune's quite frustrated look at Misha, she probably told her to study as she did. Don't worry, you can still gain some marks if you start studying now. Maybe. Misha does not seem overly amused. It seems the bubbly balloon of everlasting cheerfulness has been cruelly popped. Shizune's signing goes unnoticed by the moping Misha, earning her a quick poke in the shoulder. It takes barely a moment for Misha to get back into form. Oh, so, what did you do over the weekend, He-chan? Took a little trip north with Lily and Hanako. It was pretty nice. I see the both of them narrowing their eyes at me, their minds surely in the gutter. The fact that their suspicions are founded makes this situation all the more awkward. We just studied and went sightseeing? There's nothing more to it? So, after such a flagrant lie, I realized that it might not be the best step, considering Shizune's connections, and her total lack of restraint when it comes to questioning someone she suspects of telling untruths. I really have no idea how she's going to take it, but she'll find out eventually anyway. It isn't as if it's really her business whom I date in any case. And yes, Lily and I are going out now. While Misha receives the news with an enthusiastic smile, Shizune gives a look of mild surprise, somewhat masked by her cool demeanor. Whoever you date is your business. I hope you two go well together. Misha gives a look that says this is the most quarter I could possibly receive on the matter. That's all I wanted, really. After she says this, though, Shizune begins to sign something else, then stops herself and shakes her head at Misha to prevent her from translating. Normally I think this strange enough, but the awkwardly casual wave Shizune gives before walking off with Misha in tow adds to my confusion. Shizune is hardly the kind of person to pull a punch or communicate without forethought. I shrug my shoulders at the duo's odd behavior, and look towards Hanako's desk, but see the chair is empty. She was definitely here before, so I guess she just didn't feel like waiting. I'll go grab some food alone then. Walking down the hallway, the unused room that's become a second home to the three students in particular, I mournfully look down at the plastic-wrapped salad roll and juice box in my hand. The cafeteria's food is unappetizing. Maybe I'll consider my penance for my recent indiscretions. Opening the door, I notice one less quiet figure than I expected. Where's Hanako? It's strange, despite having known Lily for months, I can't help but thinking back to the first time I opened to this room and saw this very same still frame. Just as she did then, she slowly opens her eyes, unmoving as they are, and calmly addresses me. "Good morning, Kisao." It's afternoon, I think. Has Hanako been around? She skittered out of class without me even noticing. Lily cradles her cheek thoughtfully as I take a seat, my bag taking its place against the closest leg of the table, and my unsatisfying meal neatly set out in front of me. She did appear for a time. She said she had some studying to do for the upcoming exams, and she left for the library. We find ourselves not entirely believing her words. Well, at least her intentions are in the right place. She is sweet, but she needn't go this far to let us have our space. I might talk to her about it sometime. Probably for the best. For a while, we quietly eat our meals, Lily elegantly nibbling on her sandwiches and sipping her tea as I eat what tastes like a garden sandwiched in rye dough. In dry dough. And rye dough might be better. The atmosphere feels slightly strained. Oh, that's my phone. That's a terrible noise. Oh, that was my alarm clock telling me I should be asleep right now, but I'm not. I thought someone was trying to drill through the wall. Neither of us knowing quite what to say each other now that our small talk has dried up. Eventually, we both find our food, with no conversation forthcoming for quite some time. Eventually, though, it's Lily's soft voice that breaks the silence. A lot happened back there, didn't it? Again, silence, with both our minds on the same topic, though. I think I have feelings on that sorted out. I know everything happened in kind of a hurry, but I don't regret anything that happened in Hokkaido. Not one thing. Hisao? Slightly tense, I take her hands in mine. Have to feel her, have to settle my own nerves. I stand by my words back there. Lily, I love you, and I won't leave you. I only wish for you to think the same. She silently reflects for a long time, which feels like an eternity. Don't leave me hanging, Lily. You can't just say, nothing. Her reverie comes to an end as she takes one hand from mine, placing it over them as she leans her body forwards and stands out of her chair. After a moment's hesitation, her face slightly pensive, her lips meet mine for a brief moment. My mind feels as if it's briefly stopped at that moment, barely registering Lily sitting back in her chair and smiling at me with ever so slightly reddened cheeks. Hearing that makes me very happy, Hisao. I would be glad to stay with you. Maybe it would be good to slow things down a bit. Compared to before, we still have school after all, and our exams. She gives a mischievous giggle, which proves to be contagious. That might be a good idea indeed. Do you think you'll fare well in your exams? It's only one day until they arrive, as you say. I probably should have studied more, but I think I've got a good enough head to manage. That said, I had to bat off Misha and Shizune. Is your class as worried about the exams as mine? She lets out an exasperated sigh. All but confirming it, I'm thankful for the atmosphere becoming a bit lighter. I think so. I've already been asked for help by 2 of my classmates, and there will no doubt be more. Think of it as your first training, and being a teacher, maybe. That's probably a good way to think of it. On that note, how are you faring in your English studies? I remember it was far from your strongest subject, and few sentences you memorized to speak to my mother aren't likely to help. Damn, she knows. You got me. If you don't mind, would you be able to possibly help in that regard, please? It would be my pleasure to help you, Hisao, but in exchange... She lowers her eyebrows, her coquettish nature tentatively coming to the fore. First time I've heard that word, too. No problem at all. You'd probably be better off with some help in your studies, though. She beams a smile at me, one of girlish victory that nearly makes me blush. I get the feeling she's aware of how to use her face to twist my judgment, so I should be more on guard. Nah, don't be more on guard with the people you love. Well, I mean, unless the people you love are shitheads, then you shouldn't love them, but that's a different question. That's a different thing. Here and now, though, a study group seems like an expedient way for both of us to shore up our more lacking skills. The school bell rings out, reminding us that time isn't going to stand still. Huh, lunchtime's over already. It sure is easy to lose track of time in here. This room's so far from the other clubs and activities, not much sound can reach us. That's probably most of the reason why. A place far from all the others, alone with just one person whom she loves as Lily stands and collects her bag and cane. My thoughts are cast back to the time spent in Hokkaido. Before I go, Akira and I are having a homecoming party in my room tomorrow. Will you be able to come? And back again. My schedule is free, so I should be able to make enough time in enough room in my study time to make it. Good to hear, Hisao. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're back from Scotland. Once exams are over, we should have some more time to ourselves. Holidays start soon after, too. We can start the holidays with Tanabata then. Don't know what that is. Just as we promised this at the school festival. She brings her hand to her cheek and laughs slightly nervously. Recalling the event as I silently thank myself for managing to remember. It seems odd to see her react in such a way, though it's not like I never saw her embarrassed before. I'd better be going. Farewell, Hisao. Bye. Whether it's out of habit or just a stubborn desire for one small fragment of normality, I hold my hand up in farewell just as I always do. At least I'm consciously aware that I'm doing it now. I think I'm beginning to see a bigger picture than I ever have before. Not only with Lily, but also with my life ahead. The chains of my past are finally breaking. Well, that's nice. Guys, I think that's time. Remember, stay safe, have fun, and try to find someone just as dirty-minded as you are. One of those things is more important than the others. Bye!